Well then,
Shut.
yes. You have something to say?
I mean, I don't know. Should we begin?
No.
Fine, fuck you then.
Nah, that was a one and done deal.
Man, it's almost like you could tell that this was staged.
That was a one and done deal. Hello, everybody. This is Scout 100 here with
Shit, I didn't set this up yet. Hang on.
you shit.
Yeah, I shit.
Evil, Crystal Master 4, hello.
I am evil, Crystal Master 4.
I am evil.
Have you seen that? Oh, hold on. We got a third person here.
Smiley!
There we go.
Before I get forgotten and drowned out by the music.
Yeah.
Welcome back to some more Professor Layton vs. Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. In the previous episode, well, it didn't end well. There was basically a fight between Espella and her father. Like, her father's saying, no, all of this is just a dream, and Espella's like, no, it's not! And then she kind of fucking got possessed and passed out. So... That's not good. So in this episode, we're going to see what happens. If you'd like what to see, leave a like down below, comment if you have anything to say, subscribe to me and Chris if you haven't already.
Good.
Somehow those more coherent than your initial intros ever.
Bite me.
You're not tasty, Rob. Turns out we had a surprise witness on our hands, the victim himself,
Oh.
the storyteller.
No, it's the same thing.
Yes, it is.
Mr. Cantabella. Oh, it's me starting this time. Oh, great. I would like to apologize for putting too much pressure on your daughter. Only your words can bring her back from the brink of madness. Let her hear the truth from her own father. No!
Bitch, listen. No one deserves to hear this.
Nobody.
Nobody. He just like... She takes out a gun.
Nobody's gonna hear this! Start shooting everybody.
Oh,
Welcome to this rated T video game, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh yeah, guess what? This channel's not safe for kids. Alright, keep going.
Yeah, by the way. All according to... All according to your plan, Layton. You've driven Espella into a corner in order to push me to the wall. This is sexual harassment, and I do not have to take it.
Actually, you do.
This is a court of law, after all.
This is a court of law, and guess what? This is coded in, bitch. You got no choice. I had no other choice.
See, being meta with the storyteller of all people makes the most sense. Espella, please listen to me. I was prepared for the evil voice whenever she inevitably talks. I can talk today. So
This is
be
a
great
good
recording session.
episode.
Oh my god. This is supposed to be the finale, you guys.
No.
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 You haven't done anything wrong. You didn't cause that incident.
Accident.
Shut up. You have. No, I just imagine it's like Professor, like Phoenix and Maya, just like accident. He's like, shut up. You've suffered so much thinking that you were Brazella. I must take the blame for that. You, Mr. Cantabella? You! Soldier Judge up in there! Okay, anyway.
Somebody had to do it.
Yeah.
Let's
I
jump
sac-
back like 10 years, shall we?
Oh
Yeah.
no.
I sacrificed everything to make up for what I've done.
10? Yeah, about 10 years. Alright.
Did you look it up?
No, I was going through it in my head.
Oh. But all I managed to do was inflict more pain upon others. Is that not so, Dark Law?
Yeah, that's what I've been saying this whole time, bitch.
Now that you're willing to talk, Mr. Cantabella, where's my stylus? Would you mind telling us your story? Yours, as well as the Spellers and Miss Darklaw's.
Very well. You want lore?
Here we
From a
go.
storyteller? This story, too, began when I was a young lad. When Newton and I were still youths, full of dreams and hope. As you already know, we discovered the underground ruins. And deep within them lay the accursed bell. The Bell of Ruin. All the time, we still lacked the knowledge to decipher any of the writings we found there. This bell is magnificent. It's bound to make the most beautiful sound.
I have an
Oh,
idea. Whatever.
Is this young him?
I think, it was two different chirps. So one of them was young him, and then one of them is Belduke. I don't know which one is which, though.
Okay. Just do Belduke.
Whatever. I have an idea. Why don't we make this bell the symbol of our town? That's you.
How do you propose to do that?
Let's build a bell tower for it. Then we can ring it on special occasions.
That's not a bad idea.
Then it's settled. When we grow up, let's do it.
Okay, just don't forget about it. The two of us chose different paths in life. I studied management in London, while Newton devoted himself to the study of the natural sciences.
And then you made a fortune following the invention of a new anesthetic.
We both got married around that time, and each of us had a daughter.
Oh.
You mean Espella was born shortly after your company gained funding? I mean, that ties up with the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. We eventually returned to our hometown and set about realizing our childhood dream. Having built the bell tower in the middle of the town square, we retrieved the bell itself from the underground ruins. We aspired to make it a symbol of prosperity for this unindustrialized town. The bell was to be officially displayed during the Animal Fire Festival. It would be rung in the morning, following the night of celebration.
Pardon the interruption, but at the time, were you aware of the meaning behind the bell's name?
Obviously, we were not. Thinking back to my ignorance at the time, a chill now runs down my spine. Newton and I went to the bell tower the day before the festival. Only one more day to go. Only one more day to go! We've waited a long time for this!
That we have. This town will no longer be the same after tomorrow.
A bell weighing so much that
No,
ringing it
this
was
is
not
this
easy.
is this is current.
A bell weighed so much that ringing it was not easy. We tackled that problem by constructing a special mechanism in which we installed the belfry.
Daddy, I want to hear the bell. Can I make it ring? Daddy, please, let me ring it.
Espella, stop being adorable.
Espella, who was there with us, was utterly enchanted by the bell. She wasn't a bad child, but she was very stubborn and would rarely listen to me when she wanted something.
Like any child.
I told her a story to try and convince her to leave the bell alone.
Espella, listen carefully.
Oh, that's your voice.
The spell.
I remember the voice in the flashback voice. I remember.
Why can't I, Daddy?
It was weird.
You know about Bezella the witch.
Uh-huh. She's an evil fire witch who uses magic to hurt people.
If you ring the spell, Bezella will come out and possess you.
Ah.
Possess me? You mean I'll turn into Bezella?
That's right, Espella. When Bezella possesses someone, she uses them to do terrible things. That's why you must never ring the spell, sweetheart.
I understand, Daddy.
There's a good girl.
The legend of Bezella has been passed around these parts for centuries. It probably originated from the beliefs of the tribes that populated this area in the past. What I told Espella was just a silly story that I invented for the occasion. It was only meant to stop her from ringing the bell.
Interesting. Espella reacted to that.
She did. I could not have imagined that it would have such far-reaching consequences.
So she divulged maybe a split personality from that?
It's less a split personality and more, I think, just delusional.
It's one of those things when you hear something
Like she was attached
and you
to
will,
it as a child, and
you
it's
will
kind of like stuck with her for the rest of her life.
if you hear something and it goes around in your head again and again and again, you will delude yourself into thinking that it is fact, whether it is real or not. So, it's all psychological. Even up until now.
I mean, the whole experiment is psychological.
Well, you know what I mean. You know, but I can't say anything more yet because there's one piece. Because there is one piece of the puzzle that we're still missing.
Oh, there is.
Not that piece, Chris. Another piece.
Oh, right. Well, it's another piece.
It's all coming back to me now. I remember that day.
Welcome back, Espella.
It's just a shame I can't use that voice anymore.
Not yet.
On the day of the fire festival, just around the time when the preparations ended and everything was about to begin. I sneaked out of our house. I took Mum's pendant with me.
Your mother's pendant? Do you mean this one?
Yes, it belonged to my mum.
We needed to limit access to the bell, so we made it the 2 keys. We decided to make them independent and gave each one to our respective wives. Both are needed in order to access the bell.
I just remembered something. I just remembered something. Good.
The belfry.
I saw you and Mr. Belduke use them. So I told Eve to meet me at the bell tower.
Daddy says Bezella will come out if I ring the bell, but if I do it just a little...
She sounds like Peppa Pig. Am I going crazy?
Right while the festival is going on.
Oh.
I hope Eve doesn't forget her mum's pendant.
Uh-oh. I see where this is going. Based on what we learned last time.
So it's just as I thought, Miss Darklaw. You are Mr. Belduke's daughter.
Oh, then that must have been so sad when he committed suicide.
Well done, Inquisitor. I was almost afraid you would fail to make that connection.
What in the... This is too much for one day!
Sit down, old man. Sit
Fine,
down.
it's been like 3 weeks. Order! Order in the court! Lady Darklaw, you mean to say that you're Sarah Belduke's daughter?
I guess that's groundbreaking news for them.
Yes, my real name is Eve Belduke. I'm the alchemist's daughter.
I mean,
Also-
yeah, that is a big revelation.
Also, this is specifically for Chris because you weren't there for that trial, but does that make another connection from something that we learned in a previous trial?
Oh, wait. If you're talking about Chiaki's trial, I don't remember.
Okay.
And by Chiaki, I mean the fucking girl in this game.
Yeah, I got it. Okay, alright. I was just wondering if something connected or not, that's all.
It's been a while since I've seen that trial, so I have no idea.
Alright.
This is unbelievable.
I also sneaked out of my house that evening, clutching my mother's pendant in my hand. I did just as you asked me to, did I not, Espella?
Espella, my mum's going to be so angry if she notices I took the pendant.
Oh, that was horrible. Oh, that was horrible what just popped into my head.
What?
She can't be angry if she's dead.
Oh, dude!
Don't worry so much. I just need to ring that bell.
Okay, to be fair, I was thinking it too.
I am in a very, very convoluted state right now.
Hear it.
Wonderful.
Uh-oh. Okay.
I rang the bell against my father's warning, and so Bezella possessed me. Because of me, the town, and everyone in it.
Yep.
They're all gone.
No! It's not your fault. Stop blaming yourself.
Supposedly, the former inhabitants of this area also used to fall unconscious upon the sound of that bell. Perhaps they experienced a similar nightmare.
It was I who brought the Bell of Ruin into this town. I was the one to blame for this calamity. The one to blame for this calamity is not some witch. It's me.
Careful where you're swinging your arms there. You almost hit your daughter, buddy.
He's very passionate right now, Rob.
I brought destruction upon this town.
Even if you're passionate, that doesn't mean that you can't get away with, no... What the hell is that term?
Assault.
No, that was not what I was thinking. Spatial awareness. Does not excuse you from not acknowledging your spatial awareness.
I am Bezella.
Espella, you're going to drive your dad crazy if you keep repeating that.
Going.
Seeing you like this is seeing you like this is giving me a strong feeling of deja vu.
Eve, how could you be so evil? Are you happy now?
I'm afraid we're in the dark as regards to Miss Darklaw's sense of deja vu.
Only 4 people survived the fire.
Only 4?
Espella and Eve, who were in the belfry. And the only 2 residents. Discord, please. Who did not participate in the festival? Newton and I.
And where were you at the time, if you'll permit my asking?
We were investigating those fateful ruins. That is why we didn't notice anything until it was too late. It was getting near the time at which we planned to ring the bell, so we headed towards the town. Then we saw it. The town had been burnt to ashes, the air shimmering from the heat.
That's too awful for words.
We searched for survivors, sick with anxiety. Eventually, we found our daughters in the bell tower. Espella was unresponsive, like a doll. Eve was crying at her side.
She already looks glazed.
Yeah.
Our relief at finding them vied with terror caused by the disaster. The worst night of my life ended, pierced with the first rays of sunshine. But then, it seemed as if Espella was already lost to us. We had lost her to Bezella. She wouldn't speak, eat, or even leave her room. She thought she was Bezella, and that she had destroyed the town. They couldn't get that out of her head. What she saw from the bell tower must have been so terrifying.
Oh, so she was traumatized.
But it wasn't shock from what she had seen. My own words had put her in that state. Had I only not told her that stupid story! We had been grasping at straws, trying to find a way to save Espella's mind. But whatever we did, her eyes would remain impassive and empty. In the end, I came upon a certain idea that offered us a glimpse of hope. What was it? The suspense is too much for my aging heart.
I believe I may know what it was.
I do.
It was the only way to get through to little Espella.
Inquisition, what are you talking about? What was Mr. Cantabella's idea for saving his daughter from insanity?
Was it erasing her memory?
No, it was the only.
Nope.
It was what got her into it, and then what would get her out. The only way that this game has communicated anything thus far through stories. We discovered this in Espella's room.
Why do you think that Kira was made to be Bezella?
And that is...
It's a handmade picture book. The illustrations and handwriting are truly exquisite.
Yes, that's the first story I wrote. I made it for Espella after that dreadful fire. Oh, the storyteller's first story! It was but a simple children's story. The plot was very straightforward. The townsfolk joined forces to banish evil witches who served Bezella.
Spella, do you understand now? You aren't Bezella. Bezella is somewhere out there, sending out other witches to do bad things to the people of our town.
Witches, magic, the town perishing in flames. Espella was mentally broken, and I couldn't get through to her any other way. I talked to her as if magic and witches were real, avoiding any mention of that fire.
Daddy. A witch is real.
Espella spoke to me for the first time in so many days. I was beyond myself with joy and replied without thinking.
Oh, yes, they are. They're hiding in the town, among the people.
But
Oh.
it's just a fairy tale.
I was desperate. I feared she would close herself off from me again. Now, in hindsight, I see what an utter fool I was. I made an irreversible mistake yet again.
So he set up this whole town for her.
Mm-hmm. The experiments, the town, everything that the entire last 10 years was for her, was to try to save her, was to prevent, well, quote, Bezella from coming back again. And when he wrote the final story, where he died and Bezella was taken, and Kira was put in that place, that was supposed to put a wrap on everything. And, you know, make sure that it's closed off, and hopefully Espella wouldn't revert back to the state that she was in. But somebody fucked with it. That's why we're in this mess right now.
That's true. The bad witches will get their comeuppance. I will write a story about it.
And so, I wrote another story for my daughter. A story about mischievous witches getting caught. This time I had the story acted out in front of Espella. You had it acted out?
Children's theater.
Back then, I wasn't the only one tormenting myself over the mental state of my daughter. Newton was going through hell, too. His own daughter had been badly scarred by the event.
Oh.
Isn't that right, Eve?
My father and I repaired a building that had survived the fire and continued to live in this town. Spella wasn't even able to leave her room. We couldn't leave her behind when she needed all the help she could get. Mr. Cantabella showed us this book one day. Then, he made an unusual request of us.
I'd like to make this story real. Would you be willing to help me do so?
To our surprise, he was entirely serious. Seeing that, we gladly offered our help. Story about evil-doing witches getting caught and punished, and Bezella the source of them all.
Were you paying attention, Espella? Witches got what they deserved, and peace has been restored to the town.
Hold on.
Oh,
Isabella smiled at the end, and she whispered to herself.
It wasn't me.
oh.
When I saw her smile, I felt as if something broke inside me. I couldn't afford to let her be sad again. Maybe if Bezella were to exist in this town, Isabella would stop thinking she herself harbored the Great Witch. I continued writing stories about witches. Even I would act them out for Isabella. And gradually, the number of characters in my stories increased. That was, of course, largely due to the ongoing reconstruction of the town.
How much reconstruction?
It wasn't anything on a big scale. I simply paid people to move in and out, in and act out their roles. But I began to think that I would need more than that. The story had to be real.
To make a lie seem true, you resorted to even more lies.
Yes, I was certain that was the only way. How did I do so? How did I do so? I remembered about Newton's research.
He was working on a certain medicine.
It was a kind of tranquilizer made from local plants that he was testing at the time. But it was difficult to put into practical use. The substance had a danger of causing unconsciousness in hypnosis. I can see how that could be abused to cause harm, supposing it fell into the wrong hands. At the same time, it was just what I needed for my ambitious project.
Just what I needed.
I contacted the government.
I contracted them.
Yeah, I contracted government. It was it wasn't very pleasant.
And that was the beginning of what came to be known as Project Labyrinthia. A town with human test subjects, all in a state of long-term hypnosis.
You devised that plan solely for the sake of your daughter.
Yes. We acquired the land which had been laid to waste by the fire. The new town was slowly becoming populated. Gradually, the rules of Labyrinthia were established. It was to be a town where magic and witches were a reality to the residents.
Right, there was more.
All of this was possible thanks to the drug.
The test subjects were exposed to it through the ink used to pen the story, right?
Where's Isabella?
Oopsie.
I don't know.
Oopsie.
That's right. It was a dangerous drug developed by Newton.
Nothing is wrong here.
Nothing to see.
Nothing here.
About 10 years had passed Since then, even now, the town continues to change. See, I do not have a daughter anymore.
Poof. Poof, she's gone.
Oh god.
Okay, that wasn't funny. Alright. There she is.
Tough
See?
crowd.
See, she's there. She's there. It was a joke.
It was a joke, guys. Come on. I was trying to lighten the mood, you know?
You do know the townspeople are going to beat the crap out of you once everything is over, right? Yeah.
Project Labyrinthia. And all this was done for one girl.
Oh, well, now they're gonna all feel really used.
Espella was the only one able to be herself when she lived within my story. Oh, the irony of it. Only within a world in which Bezella was real could Espella's tragic memories be sealed.
Instead of therapy, like a healthy option.
No,
Let's
he
make
decided
an
to spend-
entire civilization.
No, he decided to spend millions of dollars to create an entire world, fantasy world, just so that she could just repress her memories.
Again, instead of therapy, like the healthy option.
Well, listen. He explained that he was kind of desperate, and the first thing he thought of was story, and it worked.
Okay, fine. The initial story worked, but after that, it's been 10 fucking years.
Yeah, it's been 10 years, but she's been so lost. She's been so lost to him, and he didn't want to see her despair, you know?
He just calls her into the tower one day. Oh yeah, there was a fire that you caused. It killed everybody. Have fun! No!
And then we wouldn't have a game.
That's true. Oh, right.
All this while, Eve was assisting me.
Oh, so she knew the truth the whole time.
Mm-hmm. I was the first shade. As soon as the story began, I disappeared from the scene. If Espella was to see some magic, then someone had to don this robe.
That's the robe of invisibility.
Which we're never gonna ask how that actually works.
Yet.
I gave Espella new memories so that she could live in this town with everyone else. I also sealed the memory with her friend Eve.
Ah.
Oh, less trauma.
What?
No, it's so she wouldn't recognize her as Eve was working as a shade.
Yeah.
Okay.
But also because if she removes that memory, that's one less.
Yeah, that's one less connect. That's one less. What's it called? Synapse. That's one less
Yeah.
synapse.
I think so.
To bring back the trauma of the fire. My existence was too strongly connected to it. Afterwards, I returned as Darklaw. Not again.
Dorklaw.
As Darklaw, a stranger to Espella.
But even if you were doing this for Espella's sake, that's just going too far.
I made that choice. I do not regret the past 10 years. Only the last, couple days. But
only the last couple days.
Meanwhile, my father was supporting Labyrinthia from behind the scenes in his own way.
Do you mean his contributions as an alchemist?
My father's knowledge of medicine was indispensable for this town to function. The hallucinogenic ink was my father's work as well.
So it was. Newton and Eve sacrificed more than anyone else for the sake of Espella, and to this town. I will be forever indebted to them.
We wanted to save Espella, just like you.
But then something still... there's still something I don't understand. Why were you trying to destroy this fake world? In the end, you chose to betray Espella and Mr. Cantabella.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, but I've told you already, have I not?
It was for your revenge against Mr. Cantabella for choosing to end the story, correct?
I wonder
King?
whether that was the true reason.
Professor?
Would Miss Belduke really betray them merely because she did not want the story to end? I dare say there was another, considerably more important reason.
I didn't set the boys back to think Bella's voice trying to do.
She had another reason?
No need to frown in dismay, Mr. Wright. Please leave this to me.
Hold it. Let's hear what the Inquisition has to say.
Sorry. Haven't heard this track except for when I was using it for the end slates, so... Ah!
Rob, keep it in your pants.
No!
What?
This is my series! Fuck off!
What other reason led the witness to betray Mr. Cantabella?
This is why I asked what I did earlier, Chris. Because I was wondering if this connection would pop out in your head.
Right. Right, that's right. No, that's exactly right.
Have a look!
That completely skipped my mind.
It's in a book.
This letter was Miss Belduke's real motive.
I don't know how I could have forgotten that. That's a pretty big thing to forget.
A suicide note, don't worry about it.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Her own dad committed suicide. No, I could have just easily forgotten that. No, it's fine.
It's totally
not
understandable.
important or anything. What is this? I think I've seen it before.
Really?
That's the letter written by Mr. Belduke for Mr. Cantabella. It's also Mr. Belduke's suicide note.
My dear friend, I hope you can forgive me for leaving this world of my own will. What I have done cannot be forgiven. I can never escape from it. Something was tormenting Mr. Belduke. It became too much for him to bear, and drove him to suicide. These past 10 years, I thought Father was glad to be helping Cantabella. But little did I know, he was suffering terrible anguish all that time. Cantabella twisted the lives of so many people for the sake of his daughter. Was the story not but a glorified lie, stripping so many of what little happiness they had? All those years, Father was racked by a crushing sense of guilt. His anguish, his agony, culminated in the incident of 3 months ago.
Mr. Belduke's death. Yeah. And the bell tower suddenly appeared.
Okay. Before Labyrinthia was created, certain things had to be concealed in order to seal Espella's memories. Had she seen them, she would have remembered. They were simply too dangerous to her. One of them was me. Espella's friend Eve had to be reborn as a shade and disappear into the forest. The next thing was the bell tower.
Dead cat.
I see. Had she seen it, it would have been certain to stir up those traumatic memories. Memories of the legendary fire. The only way to prevent that was to erase the bell tower from Labyrinthia.
But how could you do that?
Using the same method as with this robe.
The robe of invisibility.
In short, we covered up the tower with a huge robe.
What? Where did they get a robe that big?
Robe is in quotes, Pooja.
Oh.
Although it wasn't as easy as it sounds.
In other words, the bell tower had to be there all this time. Or had been there all this time. Only the townspeople couldn't see it. Is that correct? And for 10 years, nobody decided to run in through that general direction.
I was going to keep my mouth shut about that until we got out of this, but yeah, how? How was it in 10 years nobody has bumped into the bell tower even once?
Especially those bratty kids.
So the knights only guarded it when it appeared, right? They didn't guard that general area.
Right.
They only guarded it when it appeared.
Because again, only three people knew of the truth behind Labyrinthia. One of them was a shade, she was out of the picture. One of them was locked in the bell tower, that was Mr. Cantabella. And then the third was Belduke. So, nobody actually knew about that area, so that's one of the mysteries that will never be explained. Indeed.
I don't know what to say.
At any rate, the situation changed due to that lightning strike 3 months ago, did it not?
Oh, it burned the cloth.
Huh?
It burnt the cloth.
Yeah. It was the most unfortunate accident. The lightning set the bell tower's cover on fire.
Which made it appear as if it was just like an unholy just reveal in flames.
That cover was quickly consumed by flames, revealing that abominable... I don't know why I'm having trouble with words today. Revealing that abominable bell tower.
Wait, why didn't they just knock it down to begin with? Get a wrecking ball and you're done.
In fantasy world, Pooja.
There's also the fact that... Well, it would be the same question as why didn't the ancient, or the previous inhabitants just destroy the bell? Even if it caused tragedy, it was a sacred item. And there would have been a huge belief in containing that sacred item one way or another. So, unfortunately, they couldn't knock it down.
Plus, if they demolished it, I'm pretty sure the bell would ring.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't be great.
That is true. Unless you take the... whatever
Unless they had I don't know, some kind of technology to remove it safely.
I was gonna say, if you remove the, whatever it is, clacker from inside the bell, it wouldn't ring.
So in a way, it was sort of like a bomb that they couldn't like go off again.
Yeah,
Basically.
but an outside force can make it ring. Also, we don't know how severe the bell has to ring in order for the effects to take hold. So they probably just didn't want to touch it for fear of anything happening.
Yeah, they're up on the bell tower. They're trying to carry the bell. The bell rings. They fucking fall unconscious and die under the weight of the bell. That wouldn't be a good thing.
No.
The beginning of all this, the Bell of Ruin appeared before us. 'Twas a mockery of our efforts. The tower emerging from the flames. must have seemed like a sign of divine anger to Mr. Belduke. A sign that no matter how you attempt to conceal your sins, the truth will eventually float up to the surface. Having realized this, Father chose death.
He was such a kind-hearted man.
Shut up!
I didn't have an inkling of what he had been going through.
Shut up! This is your fault in the first place!
It was his best friend, but yeah.
Also one that... Wait, no, I'm thinking of someone else. Never mind.
To him, the participation of Labyrinthia's people within this project was not voluntary. Even though they themselves had signed the contract, I believe he felt those people were being deceived. Father took his life because of you, Cantabella!
Ah, that's why she wants revenge.
Now you know why I did what I did. I lost my father 3 months ago. That day, my revenge began.
Your revenge?
The first step of my plan was to rewrite the story.
What did you say?
As president of Labrello Inc., you had to spend most of your time in London. Over the past few years, you were coming to Labyrinthia only for the parades. So naturally, I knew you would never notice if the story was slightly changed.
That explains it. Couldn't help thinking there was something strange going on. Mr. Cantabella is Ispella's father, after all. He wouldn't have made Ispella a witch in this story. Ispella was...
A witch? When did that happen?
Thanks, Discord.
How could you have known after all? Let me fill you in on the details. Ispella has already been tried once within the Witch's Court.
Impossible! Why? How could you? You knew the risk that would carry.
Look at you. What a fine author of that grand story you are. You left all the work in Labyrinthia to me. Meanwhile, you were making millions for yourself in London. What a pathetic excuse for a father. You didn't even notice that your precious little Ispella was in such danger.
She's got a point there.
Miss Belduke, why did you do that to Ispella?
Also, we're not going to talk about the trial that happened. Is that just not canon anymore?
What? Oh, you're talking about the first one?
The trial that Ispella had outside of Labyrinthia with Darklaw?
Well, no, because that wasn't a witch's trial. That was just a freak accident. They're focusing specifically on the witch's trial and the
I mean, I know, but like,
yeah. Well, I mean, fair enough, because you know, if they're found guilty, especially in these games, it's it's just an automatic death penalty. So whatever.
Yeah.
Do you even need to ask? I did it to unlock her memories.
You mean...
When the legendary fire took place, Ispella was so traumatized that she closed herself off to the world. We were just little girls then. That tragic accident was too much for us to handle. This fictitious town was created as a facade to keep the truth away from Ispella. But the weight of all these lies led my father to his suicide. Despite that, the person responsible for all this carried on as if nothing had happened. I couldn't forgive him. As Belduke's bereaved?
Bereaved.
As Belduke's bereaved daughter, had to have my revenge against both Cantabellas. Judge, this is the whole truth. Now you know the true identity of Bezella.
Objection.
Objection.
Why both?
You say this is the whole truth, but is that really the case?
It's not, but like, why both? If your gripes was only with the storyteller, why bring Bezella into all this?
Because she was the catalyst for all this in the first place?
True, but if she was traumatized, that's not her fault.
Maybe because she's the one that suggested them to bring the pendant.
Probably because she was the one who actually rung the bell, now that I think about it.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying.
Also, Chris, and I guess I would know from... If you're emotionally compromised, do you think clearly about single thing that you do?
You know what? You bring a fair point.
There we go.
Professor.
What are you going on about now? We've been provided with a clear picture of what happened to Espella so long ago. Nevertheless, we haven't yet heard your testimony. Don't be ridiculous! This will be the last testimony in this trial. Tell us about the night of the legendary fire.
And you know when the game says it, you know it's true.
I request that you tell us your story. Who do you think you are, Inquisitor?
I'm the Inquisitor.
I'm merely one of the supporting characters within this tale. Bullshit! Bullshit! Fuck you, Layton.
I mean, in terms of supporting, yeah, he's like a pillar in the story, then yes, he is a supporting character.
Fuck you, Layton! However, I'm very much interested in the truth.
This has been a very long trial.
You don't say!
Of which this shall be the last interrogation.
Okay.
This court demands that the single other witness with the legendary fire provide us with her testimony.
Very well. There is only one truth. Nothing can change that.
There will still probably be contradictions in it because it's Ace Attorney.
Of course. And...
Wow! Our first... That was 1 hour of
That was 1 hour of lore. So, in the next episode, we tackle this final testimony. Thank you guys for watching, and see you guys later.